What is up, guys? Welcome to Fight Rant Live, episode 11. Today it's just me, Lee, with GI, Francisco. We over here.
What's up, guys? I finally got some company today.
Yeah, Francisco's been doing a few shows on the channel by himself lately. Props to him. Setting it up.
Yeah, so today, Saturday, is the 7th. We're going to kick it off with the fight of the day, fight of the night, and that's going to be Canelo versus Amir Khan, Saul Alvarez. And that's going to be starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's a pay-per-view event. It has 3 bouts in the undercard, and then following the main event, the lineup is going to start with Patrick Teixeira versus Curtis Stevens. Curtis Stevens, I believe, was the one that got knocked out by Triple G, that made that beautiful face after he fell to the ground. What was that face? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah. So those 3 bouts are going to be all 10 rounds. Then it's going to be Mauricio Herrera versus Frankie Gomez. We have David Lemieux, which also lost to Triple G, versus Glenn Tapia. That's all. These are all middleweights except for Herrera versus Gomez in the welterweight division. Then, of course, we get the main event, which is Canelo Alvarez, and he's going to be going up against Amir Khan, which is coming up to the middleweight division to face Canelo. And your thoughts on the fight today?
Oh man, I think I see this fight playing out in a fashion where Khan tries very hard to copy the Floyd Mayweather blueprint on Alvarez. With a lot of motion, a lot of, kind of pop shotting from the outside quickly and getting out of the way after throwing like 1 or 2 shots only. And try to, keep him right at the edge of his reach. And just trying to put in a lot of angles. And I think that what we're going to see tonight is kind of interesting because Khan is, a skilled boxer. He does have good skills. He throws nice punches, like not, super powerful really per se, but he's just well-rounded in his skill set, from angles to moving in the ring and throwing well. So I think you're going to see tonight Amir Khan come out and probably win the first round, because I think Canelo will let him move and study him and allow him to, to do things so that he can pick up on Khan's timing and motions for the first round. Maybe even the second round. I wouldn't be that shocked if he starts to try to put together a couple of things in the second round, but he still spends more time waiting and observing. But I think after that, you're going to see, exactly why Canelo is considered to be the best in the sport at this time, or one of the best in the sport at this time. And that's because, I was talking about this with Franklin yesterday, where people look at flash in boxing, things that are flashy. Mayweather's flashy. He moves quick. He throws fast. He jumps out of the way. Guys like Sugar Ray Leonard were flashy. Ali was flashy.
Right.
And they equate that to greatness because that's what the eye sees right away. Your eye, it's so much easier to see that as greatness.
Get attracted to it, right?
Than it is to see somebody's mind working. So, somebody like Bernard Hopkins, who doesn't do that. Bernard Hopkins was great, and he was great because he studied you in the ring. He figured out exactly how to counter you, and he did it, and he beat you, over and over again. Roy Jones Jr. was great too, but because he was flashy, he was a great athlete. To me, as a boxing purist, watching Bernard Hopkins, just as a boxer alone, to me, was a better boxer than Roy Jones. But Roy Jones' amazing athleticism, which is so unbelievable, nobody else was even close in his time, in that time, allowed him to overcome, great boxers. But
Yeah, it's just like Whitaker and
yeah,
he had those moves that, of course, he was very flashy and he made
but you have to be so
all the
athletic to
faces and
pull those moves off.
to
You
pull
have
those
to be
off,
an
right?
amazing athlete. It doesn't mean you have to be an amazing boxer. It just means you have to be an amazing athlete and a pretty good boxer.
Right, yeah,
but,
of course.
Yeah, and I was talking about that, and I was trying to explain because he was basically Franklin thinks Canelo is okay, that he's not a really good fighter, that he's an okay fighter, and I was saying I think Canelo's a really good fighter. I don't know if I'd call him great at this point, but he's in his prime now, and he's young still. He just kind of hit his prime. I noticed that, to me, he's getting better every fight. And I think tonight will be the culmination of where people will have to say, people that don't agree with it will have to wind up saying that he's a really good fighter, and on the cusp of being a great fighter. Because what he's going to do, from what I see and what I think he's going to do is, once he finishes that first round or second round where he studies Khan, he's going to start, there's no question, Khan is the faster mover. Khan has faster hands. So he's the flashier guy in the ring there. Even though Canelo's exciting, he's not flashy. He's exciting because of the bombs he throws and the fact that he can KO you. But I think what you'll see is Canelo begin to cut off the ring, definitely by round 3, and do it effectively. And he'll also, he's going to mix in a certain amount of walking him down while cutting off the ring, kind of the way Triple G does. Right. And also laying back a little bit and countering by the studying he does early on in the first round or two. He's going to study the pattern of Khan, and he's going to counter kind of more the way Hopkins will countered people for most of his career. And he's going to have to win the fight. I don't think he can just walk around and just keep walking and walking blindly and throwing haymakers and hoping to land one. Because, granted, if he lands one, we've seen Khan doesn't have the best chin, so he can take him out. But that's risky to do it that way because you have to land one. Yeah. You'd rather bait him in. You'd rather use skill and timing to make those shots land. And I see, Canelo finishing this fight in round 6 or 7 by knocking him out. But round 1 or 2, Khan will definitely, I think, win round 1. Round 2, maybe, if Canelo wants to keep studying, if he hasn't quite figured out everything he wants to yet. But from that point on, I see round 3 beginning the breakdown of Khan. Probably mostly, initially early with body shots as counters and walking him down, cutting off the ring, getting in a shot or two to the body every time he corners him a little bit against the ropes or in the corner. Khan will spin his way out or get out of those areas, but when you take those few body shots in round 3, you take a few more in round 4, you take a few more in round 5, then round 6 you start to mix that body to the head, and by round 7, I don't think Khan can take those headshots, and he's gonna go night night.
Yeah, so you see around the 7th or the 8th round then.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. It depends on how well Khan can take the body shots. If he can take them for a little while, then maybe round 8. But if those body shots start hurting him right away, it might even be round 5. We know he can't take him to the chin, but to the body, he might be able to take him a little while.
Yeah, and I think that's I agree with you as far as this fight is concerned, and also with Canelo, because what it's just like Franklin pointed out when he fought Kirkland. He felt that Kirkland wasn't a fighter that was up to par with Canelo, but it was a tough fight for him because he had to fight somebody that was willing to go out there and just go at it with you. Yeah. And when you watch that fight back, you realize that Canelo at first started to battle with Kirkland, and then took his composure and backed it up a little bit and took control of the fight all over again. And that's something that somebody with experience gets to do, and that's what Canelo that's what Canelo earned. I mean, a lot of people will take credit away from Canelo because of his loss to Floyd Mayweather. But at that time when Canelo came in to fight Floyd Mayweather, I said it before. I said he was too green, and he wasn't ready for somebody with the speed and experience that Floyd has. And
I mean, truth be told, I think, you know, even if he fought Mayweather today, he'd probably lose again. But that's just because Mayweather is one of a kind. I don't really enjoy watching him fight, but I can't deny that what he does works. You know, it wins rounds and whatever. He's just, you know, people that try to knock Canelo for losing to Mayweather, it's kind of ridiculous. Everybody lost to Mayweather, and pretty much everybody looked bad doing it. The only guy in recent years that didn't look terrible was Cotto. You know.
Yeah.
And that was because even what was his name? The other guy he fought twice, Maidana, right? In the first fight, didn't look too bad. But Floyd said it himself. He fought differently than he usually does because he was trying to give the fans excitement. That's the only reason they didn't look as bad as other guys.
Which is why I always knock Floyd for it, because I'm the type of, I like the fighter that actually decimates his opponent piece by piece by different things, not just what money Floyd does. But again, I don't take credit away from him for doing that, because I understand that he's the best at doing that. And hey, if it works, then why mess it up? You know what I mean?
Career, you know, and he could come out of retirement
why mess with it
and fight somebody and do it again. I mean, he's another guy that's an amazing athlete, and that athletic ability allows him to do what he does. You know, he could have the same exact boxing skills. If he was half the athlete that he actually is, he would have lost a bunch of fights. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, I liked him because he took those risks, and you know, now that he's retired, I do understand why he shied away from that, because it's you have to assume that whatever you're best at, that's what you should take advantage of and master it. You
maximize your great areas while minimizing your weaknesses, you know.
Right, and that's what he did. And but what I say with Canelo and Floyd, you know, Canelo fighting Floyd now, you would see a big difference between fighting Floyd then.
Yeah.
Because then you could see it in the fight that he didn't know where to go. He didn't have a plan. He didn't have a strategy. It was just more like, I'm going to go in there, and the second I get the chance, I'm going to try and knock his head off. And he didn't get it. He never got it, because it's impossible for you to get it.
You know.
Yeah. What's the one thing I always mention about people fighting Floyd? They always try to headhunt Floyd. And the one thing that nobody does is try to work body.
Yeah, and cut off the ring and work the body. You can take shots from Floyd, especially if you're a guy like Canelo with a good chin. Let him hit you in the face, lose the few rounds. Who cares? You just, you know, you have to try to pound his body and slow him down. That's all you could do.
Right. So with Canelo versus Khan, I see where this is going to be something similar to Floyd versus Canelo, because Khan he's probably going to go in with that same strategy because of his chin, and he's not I hope he's not willing to take a shot from Canelo in the chin, because that would be a horrible idea. Yeah. So I would presume to think that he is going to try and outbox him and work the rounds and try to win this by decision. Hopefully, if he can get a knockout, he will go for it. But I don't see a knockout happening for Khan in this fight, because Canelo's a tough customer. I do see Canelo working the body and slowly ripping him apart up until the eighth round. That would be his chance, I think, where Canelo will be defeating Khan, if that happens. If Khan is not successful with actually winning by decision. But I'll tell you what, that overhand right is not gonna you're not gonna miss it in this fight, because I'm pretty sure that Canelo's gonna try and throw that a few times to knock his lights out. So, yeah, I think that's how that fight's gonna go. So we're pretty much in agreement. Now, I was looking at the purse bids. BadLeftHook.com. They stated Canelo Alvarez will make a purse of $3.5 million on Saturday night for his HBO pay-per-view event, and Amir Khan, who has a purse of $2 million. Now that's not including the pay-per-views and any TV rights. Does that look like something good for you, or for boxing and for the fighters, or what do you think, Lee?
I mean, I'm a little bit surprised at the closeness of the initial purse between Khan and Canelo. I mean, Khan has name recognition, but Canelo is kind of universally recognized as the successor to Floyd Mayweather as the star in boxing at this point.
Right.
So I'm okay with it, because there's tons of other aspects to the financial thing, though. You know, like they're both going to get a cut of the pay-per-view, and maybe it's 75% of that cut is going to Canelo. We don't know, and only 25 to Khan. Yeah. So those kind of things. I would estimate that by the end of the day, whatever amount is paid to these guys, Khan is probably getting half of what Canelo winds up getting, and that's fine. And not to knock Khan, but Khan against anybody else is not really a pay-per-view fight at this point. He doesn't, unless it was, somebody like Cotto.
Or Danny Garcia.
Yeah,
that would be
the other person has to make that. Canelo is at a point where he can almost do like Floyd now and fight anybody on pay-per-view, and he might not have a ton of buys, but he'll have enough that it won't flop.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And now if Khan defeats Canelo, he would have to go up against Triple G. He's got 15 days or 10 days after the pay-per-view, and so does Canelo. So in this event, if this happens where Khan or Canelo wins, who would you rather see face Triple G? Who do you think has the most advantage between the two?
Definitely Canelo. Khan will get slaughtered. He's too small. He's smaller than Canelo frame-wise.
Yeah.
Canelo's almost.
And I tell you what, I saw him I saw him earlier, and he was saying that he was eager to challenge Triple G once he wins the belt, which I thought was you're either a good sell or you're insane.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Khan, when you just look at them with clothes on or whatever, even if you look at them facing forward, him and Canelo side by side, they don't look that different in size, like waist up sort of. But if you turn them sideways, like this, and you look at the thickness from front to back in these guys' bodies, Khan is nowhere near as thick as Canelo. And that plays a big
he's a bit taller, but not
in power and
not
ability to absorb shots, and compared to Triple G, Canelo this way is small. And Khan is even smaller than Canelo. So he would not be able to take. I don't think he's going to be able to take the shots from Canelo, and he certainly won't be able to take them from Triple G.
No, and I mean, Canelo mentioned that he has sparred with Triple G before, and Big Bear, Kovalev as well, and they've all said that he's a strong puncher. He's a hard puncher. I mean, that's his go-to, So. Canelo versus Triple G would probably be the best fight between these two. I mean, as far as that's concerned, I don't see how. The only way that this is going to happen is it's going to be a war between Canelo and Triple G, because Triple G doesn't go back. Canelo doesn't really go back as well, but he'll probably be because of his height, he'll probably try to get inside more. He'll have to get inside more, because if he stays on the outside, Triple G will most likely have the advantage there. So kind of on the fence on this one on who's going to win it, because can Canelo get knocked out by Triple G? I don't know. Canelo's a tough guy.
He's never
You
really been
know,
hurt, like where he
no.
looks like, you've seen him get buzzed a little bit, but not hurt like I'm gonna go down or I'm gonna go out. That he's always had his
Yeah.
composure even when he got, rocked. So
And if you look at the output of punches, they're pretty equal
yeah,
between the two.
it would be an interesting
So
fight. I would think that Triple G, the size difference would probably eventually have him win the fight. But it would be good while it lasted. It should be
yeah,
anyway. Because it's
yeah,
not like
yeah,
Canelo is ever gonna just shy away and say, "Oh no, he hits hard, and I'm not gonna fight back." You know, uh,
yeah.
even if he feels it and he takes those punches, I think Canelo's the type of fighter that if somebody can knock him out, he's gonna make them work for it, and he's gonna make them eat as many punches as he can before he goes out.
Right. Yeah.
So.
No,
And
I
kind of the
just
same question. I mean, if Canelo is sharp enough and counters well and he catches Triple G clean, can he hurt Triple G? We don't know.
and that's the thing that Canelo's a really good counterpuncher, and that's where I've mentioned before where Triple G has he likes to take one to give one,
Yeah, and I think
and I don't know if
that's his weakness
that'll
in
work.
boxing. From what I see is he's not a very Triple G doesn't have a great defense. He doesn't seem to mind taking them to give them, so he doesn't really try to have he can cover up or whatever, but when he's throwing, he leaves himself very open
Yeah.
while he throws.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that would be easy for Canelo if he can absorb those punches from Triple G without being too phased by them. He'll have the opportunity to test Triple G's chin very seriously.
Yeah, and like Franklin was saying that a lot of the fighters that Triple G has gone against, it's just not people that Triple G will be concerned about, and I think fighting Canelo will be interesting to watch because you should be concerned on fighting Canelo.
Yeah,
I mean,
he should
to
fight
me,
differently.
yeah, the whole thing with height with me is that I was around when Mike Tyson was around, so to me, height doesn't mean anything. If you're a good boxer and you can work and know how to get inside and take somebody apart, you're gonna do it no matter how tall they are or how short they are. So these two fighting together, it's not something that's far fetched for me. It's a really good fight, and it's more of a challenge than Triple G has ever had. And I think that just to see that and to see if he still works the mat the same way, and if he can still corner somebody the same way as he does with the other fighters to this kind of caliber, that would give more credibility to Triple G's talent and skills. Because I see him fight. I'm a fan, and I watch him and I see his movements, his footwork is really good footwork, but because of the people that he's fighting, it's underappreciated, So and I'm interested in seeing it. And I hope it does happen. Whether it's 155 or 160, I don't care about the weights because right now this is all negotiation stuff, and that's how it works. So whoever wins the negotiations gets the fight. I don't think Canelo's going to back up because it won't be a good look for him, and it's Golden Boys being put against the wall pretty much. I mean, we have Boom Boom Mancini talking bad about Golden Boy, and we have Letterman talking bad about Golden Boy. We actually had HBO's Jesus, what's his name?
Larry Merchant.
No, the commentator. He's got the show on HBO.
Oh, Jim Lampley.
I forgot his name. Yeah, Lampley.
Yeah.
We had Lampley. I actually saw Lampley say something that I've never heard him say before, which is, he's usually always on Triple G's side, but at this time he was saying, we just need this to happen, and Golden Boy needs to just let it happen, and I agree with that. That's what's been missing in boxing, that we don't get fights like Lara. Franklin always mentions Lara, but we haven't seen Lara fight in a long time. Why? Because the promoters and the way that the business is being run. So this is a great move for boxing, and I do agree with you on Canelo and Khan. I see Canelo probably around the 8th. I wouldn't say the 7th. I would say the 8th, because Khan is most likely going to work that mat like nobody's business. Well, like Floyd's business. So we'll see what happens with that. But not to leave out the undercard. You know, everybody in the undercard, mostly middleweights except for the welterweight fight between Tapia and Lemieux. Herrera and Frankie Gomez. They're all getting anything above 50,000 in purse bid. So that's pretty good. That's pretty decent, I think. Especially for
you got to figure. I mean, this is on pay-per-view. This fight it probably won't do terribly, but it's not gonna sell a lot. So you know, the fact that their purses are smaller makes sense to me. You know, I think you'll see somewhere in the range of maybe somewhere between 200 and like 350,000 buys, something like that by the time it's said and done. You know, 200,000 to 350,000. I don't see more than that really coming out of this, because I don't think many people give Khan the chance to win by 12 rounds of movement.
Yeah.
But
and I kind of blame Khan on that a little bit because of his inactivity for a little while, especially called out everyone under the sun, and then would refuse to do the deal because he wasn't getting this amount or that amount, and so that kind of hurt this pay-per-view card, I think.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. It would have been better if he had come in on like a nice, more recent win streak and looked impressive, and then building the hype would have been a little better. But I actually am very excited to see this fight, even though I feel like I already know who's going to win. The reason is just I want to see how Canelo does it, because this is something where you watch this fight, and if you watch it closely, anyone that doubts Canelo's abilities is going to have to, if he does what we think he's going to do, is going to have to change their opinion somewhat. Because, yes, Khan is not Floyd Mayweather. We all know this. But Khan is fast. He's got good skills. It's something that has clearly given Canelo problems when you look at Floyd and you look at the Lara fight in the past. And I would say Khan is at least as good as Lara, though, as far as speed and skills and whatever. He can move, he can throw, and Lara gave Canelo a lot of trouble when Canelo fought him. I expect Canelo to come out with a very different game plan than he had against Floyd and that he had against Lara, because he's a better fighter today than he was when he had those fights. And it's a quick maturation for him, because, he fought Mayweather like 2 years ago. But you got to look at his age now and look at where he is in his career, and you realize that he is entering his prime. He's in his prime. He's getting there. And the maturation is really coming. It doesn't matter that he started fighting at 15 professionally. He was fighting guys, on a much, even though they're considered professional fights, so are fights in Bellator and, whatever. Those are professional MMA fights, but stick any of those guys in against a UFC guy, and what happens? That's generally the case. So he's moving up in opposition. I give Canelo all the credit in the world. He's when people didn't want to fight him, he moved around, he switched weight classes, he looked for the best fight he could get, and he got it. Whether it was Kirkland or Cotto or Lara or Mayweather, he would, move around, get his fights, which is kind of why I think you're right, and he won't back away from the Triple G fight. That when he looks at it, financially it's going to be the best fight for him. He already has one loss on his record to Mayweather. So if he lost to Triple G, is that really such a big deal? Not really. Everybody will say he was a little bit too small for the fight. But he put on a good show. He went out, he showed heart. He made a lot of money. He'll go back down to 154 if he loses to Triple G. If he wins, then he'll probably stay at 160 and rematch him, or fight other guys at 160.
And he'll get a lot of hype out of that, because Triple G right now is considered the monster of the middleweight division, and he's trying to take over the Latino vote. Like, if this was a presidential debate, Triple G's trying to take over your Latino votes, and
But he's not going to
Canelo
get
needs
him
to
against
stop that.
Canelo. At least not from the Mexicans. That's not going to happen.
I mean, the fight that he had last. I was listening to the crowd because you guys pointed that out, and I was listening to the crowd during the interviews, and when he mentioned, well, you're gonna be fighting, you might be fighting Canelo or Khan. Now, with Canelo being a favorite, and you hear the cheers, and then what do you think? Do you think the people want to see you fight Canelo? And then Triple G says, "What do you think? The Mexican people?" And they all cheered, all crazy. So it's like
he's trying
tough
to win
because
them or whatever. Where but
I'm
I'm telling you, the second Canelo
in,
steps into the arena, there's just gonna be Mexican flags all over the place, man.
what I loved was he came into Vicente Fernandez Sigo siendo rey, which is I remain the king, and that's like the Mexican one of the Mexican anthems and one of the best Mexican singers out there. So it's hilarious. I love the story, and I think it would be
like I think that might egg Canelo on a little more too at the end of the day, like you're trying to win my people over, and
yeah, he's pretty much pulling your card, pretty much is what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm taking your girl. I stole your prize kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but we have Teixeira and Curtis Stevens. I would like to see him again and see how he performs against Teixeira. Patrick Teixeira, I've seen him fight a few times before, and he's a pretty decent fighter. Frankie Gomez versus Mauricio Herrera. Mauricio Herrera is a really good boxer. He against Frankie Gomez is a good matchup. I didn't pay attention to the undercard so much this time because of Canelo and Khan, but it's not a bad undercard actually, because Mauricio Herrera, Frankie Gomez that's a really good matchup, and then you have David Lemieux going against Glenn Tapia. Tapia he's been doing okay lately, and he needs a push just as much as David Lemieux needs a push again. So that's gonna be a war. So you guys let us know what you think about the fights. Who are you picking? Who are you going with? This is the weekend of Civil War, so you decide. Are you gonna go with Khan or are you gonna go with Canelo? That's up to you. You guys let us know at the comment sections below. We're gonna go jump over to UFC, which is tomorrow. They're starting pretty early, I believe 10:30 a.m. Eastern is the prelims. So kick it off, Lee. Let us know.
Yeah, 10:30 a.m. is the UFC Fight Pass early prelims. 10:30 a.m. Eastern. That's 7:30 a.m. Pacific. So if you're on the West Coast, you're gonna have to get up real early on Sunday morning if you want to watch that.
Get that coffee.
It's Fight Night Rotterdam, so that's kind of why the hours are the way they are. It's totally different time zones, and they have to obviously make the fights work in Rotterdam for the people there who are going to see it live. But I think it works out okay, time wise, even here in America, because the main card at least starts at 2 p.m. Eastern and it's 11 a.m. Pacific, so it's not like you can't wake up for that. So I mean, we can go ahead and give some picks here and go through that. We'll start for the people that love their DraftKings. We got to start with the early prelims because those do show up on DraftKings. The very first fight is Willie Whoop-Ass Gates versus Oka Sasaki. And
I love his name, Whoop-Ass.
It's kind of cool. I mean, both these guys have not, cracked into like top 15 type level, but they've had quite a few fights professionally in MMA. I think that this is going to be kind of interesting. What you're going to see in this fight is Willie Gates wanting to keep it standing. And he always tries to knock you out. That's what he goes for. And Sasaki is not a knockout artist. He generally finishes by submission or by decision. So you're gonna see Sasaki want to take this to the canvas, and you're gonna want to see Gates keep it standing. I actually think that this fight is probably gonna go into the third round, and Gates will probably KO him there. I think that's my take on it, but Sasaki could also submit him in the third. I wouldn't play this fight at all if you're trying to play it on DraftKings, because neither one of them has a real proven track record against good opposition. But from what I've seen out of both guys, from watching them, I think Gates has a better chance to pull off the knockout. His takedown defense is pretty good, and the few times I've seen him on the floor, he managed to, not get submitted. And from what I've seen of Sasaki, he's not exactly a ground and pounder. He just tries to submit you on the ground, and from what I've seen of Gates, he's pretty good at avoiding that. So, I think it can be, if it stays standing, it could be exciting. If it goes to the ground, it might be kind of boring. But I think Gates pulls it out in the third round, and I don't expect it to be very exciting, honestly. I think,
I don't think so either. I think Sasaki is gonna smother the hell out of Willie Gates, and if he doesn't get the submission, it's gonna end up in a decision, and that's gonna be a tough one, because it's either gonna be whether Willie Gates got enough points in, or Sasaki got enough takedowns. So I do see this as one of those fights that I don't enjoy. Sasaki's he's a pain in the ass when it comes to submissions. He's on you like a spider monkey. So I'm gonna go with Sasaki, and I think he'll probably get the submission, and it'll probably be early third round.
I could totally see that too. It all depends how the fight plays out beforehand, and if he's getting Gates on the ground early and often in like round 1 and round 2, and he's got him down and he holds him down, I could see him tiring him out and then finally getting the submission in the third. But if the fight stays more standing in the first and second, I think Gates wins, like in the third.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be Lopez's strategy, and he's really got to get that. He's gonna have to work hard, because that kid Sasaki does not get off of you.
Yeah. All right, so we go to the next one. For the record, don't play that fight on DraftKings if you don't have to. We go to the next one, which is Leon Edwards versus Dominic Waters. That's also on the early prelims, the second fight. This fight, I kind of view this fight interestingly, because I think, to me, Leon Edwards has shown me to be the better fighter at this point, but Dominic Waters has some advantages in arm reach. The leg reach is not an advantage, but he's got arm reach and height. And Dominic Waters is not bad from what I've seen. Dominic Waters is also a guy that goes for a lot of takedowns. He definitely wants to take you down. He's pretty good at it. The only problem I see is just, Edwards is very active. He's generally pretty accurate with his strikes, and his defense is not too great, but this is another fight I wouldn't play. I don't think that they're that different skill wise, but I'm gonna go with Edwards. I think he'll figure it out and probably get a knockout second or third round.
I think on the early prelims, if you would go with any of the three, I would go with this one actually on DraftKings, because and it's gonna be Rocky. He's gonna take out Show Enough, and you never put a good guy against a bad guy, because in the end, the good guy wins, and Rocky is the winner. I think he will get a knockout. Probably the second round. Um, this would be one that I would put in my DraftKings, actually, because I can see Edwards getting the knockout on Show Enough. So that's my pick.
All right, we'll go to the last one on the early prelims. Here we got Kyoji Horiguchi versus Neil Siri, Mr. Two Tap.
Yeah.
This one I pretty much, I go with Horiguchi all the way on this. I don't see Siri posing a large threat to him.
No, this is a warm up, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Siri's not. I wouldn't go quite that far for me, but Horiguchi is just really good. I mean, and I would see Horiguchi winning this fight pretty easily, I think, and it will probably not go the distance. I don't know if he'll win by knockout or submission, because he's pretty good at both of them. He gets a lot of both of them. But I think Horiguchi wins either by KO or submission in round 2. Maybe even late round 1.
I would say a KO in round 2.
Yeah.
Horiguchi getting it.
Which you get the same points for in DraftKings. So if you want to go with Horiguchi, then round 2 finish, I would say is probably pretty on point. And that wraps it up for the early prelims, which, again, they start at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific on Sunday.
7:30 a.m. Pacific. So, the schedule is actually pretty good for the U.S. With Mother's Day and everything, because pretty much get time to watch your fights and then go and have a good dinner with your wife. So
yeah, pretty much.
That works out. Yeah.
All right, so we move to Fox Sports 1 in the U.S. at least, which is where we are for the prelims. Those begin at 12 Eastern, 12 noon, or at 9 a.m. if you're in Pacific time. And the first fight you get for that is Reza Madidi, the Mad Dog, versus Yan Cabral. I see this fight going Cabral's way. I am gonna go with Cabral. I think that he will more than likely win this fight by submission. He's very good at submissions.
Yes, that's his go-to.
He's finished almost every fight by submission. And, I realize that Madidi has pretty good takedown defense, he throws a lot of shots as well. But I just see Cabral as a superior fighter here. He'll be able to not take so many shots, and the fact that Madidi is so active at throwing will leave himself open to level changes, which will allow Cabral to get him down to the ground and finish him by submission. I would probably say late first, early second also, but by submission.
Yeah, and their reach is pretty even, 73, and leg reach is 40 to 42. Reza having a 2-inch advantage. I think Cabral will get a submission in this, and let's say towards the end of the second. I see Cabral with his submission percentage is 92%. That's ridiculous. So.
Yeah, I mean he definitely goes for the takedowns and finishes here. All right, so we move on to Josh Emmett versus John Tuck, the Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan. Super Saiyajin.
Yeah, this is a very interesting fight to me. I think that what you're gonna see here is it's kind of cool. Like, you have Emmet, who's undefeated, hasn't lost yet, against John Tuck, who is a very good fighter. I'm gonna go ahead and give Tuck the win here, because of the fact that I don't think Emmet's ever fought anybody quite like him on that level. But
Okay.
I actually think this is gonna be a pretty competitive fight for a little while, and I think Tuck will win late second or early third, probably either knockout or submission. He's good at both. I mean, he's he yeah, late second or early third. He'll get a KO or a submission over Emmet. But I think that Emmet will make this fight competitive, and it'll be a good fight.
I think this would actually go to a decision. Because it's gonna be a really good fight, because they're gonna go at it, they're gonna brawl, and it's gonna John Tuck is probably gonna try and work a submission. If that doesn't work, they're try to stay standing up, which is what Josh Emmett would probably want, and it's gonna go to the decision where I think I'm gonna go with Josh Emmett on this one. I think he keeps his streak.
Wow. All right. Well, yeah. That's interesting. We
got
a split decision.
I gotta write those down, make sure. Because
we got split decision last time you DraftKings folks. So I don't know what you guys want to do there.
Last time when we did the picks, Lee destroyed the picks.
Oh man, yeah. I lost on the entire card from the early prelims all the way to the end. I think I only lost 3 fights.
3 fights, only 3.
Yeah.
Everything else was on point. I was like, wow.
Yeah, even how they won, when they won, I was killing it.
Yeah, to the T. Yeah. All right. So, what's the next one we have is who's that?
We got Garreth McLellan.
Is that Magnus?
Yep, against Magnus.
Yeah.
Cedenblad. This fight.
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, Soldier Boy is McLellan versus I don't know how you say that because it's Swedish.
Jiken.
This fight I have pretty much I don't think that whoops, hold on. I don't think McLellan stands a chance in this fight, honestly. That's just my take. I think Cedenblad will finish him and finish him early. I'm gonna say Cedenblad most likely by knockout in the first round, and it's not that McLellan's not good. I just think Cedenblad is definitely the better fighter here, and he's got the measurables. Yeah, he's taller, he's got more reach, and he's the better fighter, and he's comfortable standing, he's comfortable on the ground. I just think that one way or another he will find McLellan's uncomfortable zone and find it quickly and finish him off.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to try and submit him, tire him out and submit him. Yeah, because of his height and his weight. Yeah.
He doesn't have a great takedown defense, and he doesn't even have really good accuracy at trying to take you down either. So yeah. I think his weakest point will be on the ground. But I think Cedenblad can beat him standing or on the ground, honestly. So that's how I see it going. I would definitely pick Cedenblad and DraftKings if I was you guys. That's a pick I would make, and I would feel very good about it. I wouldn't even second guess it.
You said you have a first round knockout. I have it. I'm going with second round submission.
Yeah, something early, late first, early second, whether it's a submission or a KO. Yeah. Either way, you guys will be winners. Go Cedenblad on DraftKings. All right, last fight on the Fox Sports 1 prelims. We got Chris Wade versus Rustam Khabilov. This fight, to me, again, I gotta go Khabilov here. I mean, Rustam Khabilov is a very good fighter. He should be, pretty soon moving into main cards. Nothing against Chris Wade. I think, Chris Wade is a good fighter. He'll make it interesting to some degree, but I have no doubt that Khabilov wins. And, you know, I just probably would not pick this fight for DraftKings, and I don't think you guys will be too excited by it because it's probably going to go to the decision and it's going to be a whole lot of grappling. You know, if Khabilov wins before the decision, it's probably going to be in the third round by a sub. That would be my you know, pick for it, but you're more than likely going to see him smother Wade, keep it boring, not allow Wade to get off, and it's not going to be very entertaining, but Khabilov will win. If he wins before decision, it's going to be because Wade is so frustrated with the fact that he can't do anything because Khabilov is smothering him so much that he gives up, you know, out of frustration, gives up his neck for a submission or something like that because he's frustrated and no longer thinking clearly. That's just how I see that one.
I'm gonna go with Wade on this one. We're gonna disagree on this one too, because I think Wade is actually gonna take the submission on this, and it'll be in the late third rounds. He's got the height advantage, and to me, when it comes to submissions, I think height actually helps in your favor a lot. And they're pretty much even, not so off from each other. But I still see Chris Wade as winning this by submission in the third round.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another split decision for your DraftKings, but you know, so far we've given you a couple of solid picks where we both go the same way, or you can just go with the master if you want and pick mine. It's no problem. All right, we're gonna move to the main card. Starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Here comes some interesting. I like this very first fight on the main card, which is Karolina Kowalkiewicz. It's Kowalkiewicz to say, and Heather Jo Clark, the Hurricane. That fight to me is a very easy pick. You go with Kowalkiewicz. Hands down, I don't think Heather Jo Clark has a chance at all to win this fight.
I don't think
barring
so.
lightning in a bottle. That would be about the only way I see that playing out in any way, shape, or form. I believe that Kowalkiewicz will win the fight by decision. She's not exactly someone that goes for knockouts. She tries for subs, but you know, she's another one of those fighters that'll smother you. You just look bad when you fight her, and she'll probably just grind it out to a decision at the end of the day.
Yeah.
She may get a submission. If she does, I'd probably say third round, something like that. You know, but barring that, I would count on Kowalkiewicz by decision. And pretty easy pick for me to say that.
That's no argument here. It's gonna be it's the same thing. I think so too. I think it's gonna be a decision win by Karolina. She actually has she's gonna dominate the fight and make it uncomfortable, like she usually does.
Yeah, you know. All right, so there you go. It probably won't be the greatest amount of scoring for your DraftKings pick because of the fact that it'll go to decision. You're not going to get those extra points for finishes like that. But, you know, if you're running low on money and you like your other picks, it's not a bad pick to take last or something like that, you know, to try to squeeze in there. All right, next fight. We have Nikita Krylov, the minor.
Francimar Barroso.
Versus Francimar Barroso.
Yep. Bodao.
Yep. This is kind of a cool fight.
Ukraine versus Brazil.
Yeah, this is kind of a cool fight. Because Krylov is very good with his submissions, and Barroso is generally a KO fighter. You know, he goes for the KOs. So you're going to get that classic, you know, grappler versus striker going on. And I gotta give the edge here for me to Krylov. I think he'll win the fight. He has the measurables to be better. He's a bit taller. He's got a bit better reach. He's got a bit better leg reach. He also, even though he likes to go for submissions, He's still good on the standing up. He's got a decent, KO percentage. He throws with good enough power, and he's more active than Barroso, whose real general game is catered to stand up. So,
yeah.
I think Barroso has the disadvantage standing up as well, even though it doesn't quite appear that way from the outside looking in. But to me, he does, because he's losing out on the measurables by a few inches everywhere in the stand-up game, and Krylov is actually the more active stand-up fighter, and he's better on the ground than going for submissions. So I don't see Barroso winning this fight. I think Krylov finishes him in the second, either by knockout or submission. He'll figure it out. He'll finish him. I'd probably lean towards sub over knockout, but either way, you'll get the points on DraftKings. So Krylov would be a good pick if you guys want to squeeze him in there and he's fits in your budget.
Yeah, I would definitely put Krylov in my picks. You can get a really good knockout out of this guy from the first round against Barroso, just because of the dominance that he has against him. The only thing Barroso has going for him is his KO percentage, and that's not gonna fare well with somebody of his height and his reach.
He's just not active enough. I think he hits harder, but he's not active enough when he throws. And Krylov is a very active guy who's throwing a lot of strikes when he's standing, and he's active at trying to get you submitted when he got you on the ground. He's constantly active, and I just think that style is gonna not bode well for Barroso.
So I have Nikita first round knockout.
Yeah, I'd say first round or second round, finish, whether it's KO or sub. I think I'm gonna lean towards second round submission. That's gonna be where I go with it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was the end of the first either. Next fight is kind of cool. It's another lady fight.
Yeah,
we got Elmose,
the pretty panda,
versus Germaine de Randamie, the Iron Lady from the Netherlands. So we got Netherlands and Denmark. This is kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to go here with a little bit of my own logic, and I am going to say
home field advantage.
Huh?
You gonna go with home field advantage?
Well, I'm gonna go with the Iron Lady here. I'm going with Randamie, and it's basically, you look at her record and whatever, and you say, well, it doesn't look that impressive. It doesn't, but I think that she holds the measurables better here. She has more experience here. She actually came in fighting against some of the better fighters out there. So to me, that record doesn't mean as much against somebody like Elmose, who hasn't fought anybody of the caliber that Randamie has fought. So I'm gonna go with Randamie and say that she's going to win it by knockout. Probably in the second round.
I'm gonna go the opposite way, and I'm gonna put my arm out there for the panda, and I'm gonna go for the second round knockout as well. I think that girl, she's got some power behind those arms. So.
All right, so we got a split decision there again, both with the same pick for a different fighter, second round KO. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next fight, which is good old Gunnar Nelson from Iceland. We all know Mr. Gunnar Nelson. And he is fighting Albert Tumenov of Russia.
Einstein.
I'm
going with Einstein. Einstein's going to get this. It's going to be a knockout. It's going to be a second round knockout as well.
This is one of those fights where you could take a chance. You could say Gunnar Nelson's not a bad fighter. Their measurables are just about the same everywhere. There is not a huge difference between the two overall. You could, if Tumenov is the favorite by Vegas odds as well. But if you were to take a shot on an underdog and take a bit of a cheaper fighter, Nelson's probably the guy to take. I'm not going to do it because I don't think it's going to happen. But, you know, if you pick 4 guys that you really like and you only have enough money for an underdog left, Nelson's the guy I'd probably take the shot on. You know, I'm in New York, so I can't play. But if I could, you know, and I wound up with, you know, just enough money to pick one of the underdogs, I'd probably pick Nelson. You know, but I don't feel too comfortable doing it. I would just do it on one card. I'd have multiple cards and say, all right, here's one where I feel great about these 4. The last one, I only have enough money for Nelson. I'm going to throw him in and hope he does it, because if he does, then you're probably winning some money. And that would, you know. But I'm going to go with Tumenov, and I'm going to say that Tumenov wins this fight by knockout in the 2nd round. I think Nelson's good enough to make it out of the first. He'll get into the 2nd round. You know, he's going to want to take you down, Nelson. He's going to want to submit you. But Tumenov has really good takedown defense. He also knows what he's doing on the ground. I don't think Nelson's going to be able to pull off the submission. He'll try in the 1st round. He'll get KO'd in the 2nd.
Yeah, that's how I see it too. So
now
we're going to go with Antonio Silva, the Bigfoot, versus Stefan Struve. That's the skyscraper.
This fight is the co-main event. I like it. I definitely like the fight. I mean, look, there's no doubt about it. Struve is a monster. He's super tall. You know, he's holding he's got literally, what is it, an 8-inch height advantage over Silva, and Silva's not a small man.
No,
you know,
he's a smart fighter, because I saw his last fight and he was taking his time. He could have easily taken out any opponent that he has, but he takes his time. He watches what he's doing. He's not careless. And yeah, I think I see him winning this. Silva has lately been on the mat a couple of times, and I think I see him going to the mat again.
Silva's getting old. His body is not what it was. You know, I think that this fight right here is going to be Stefan Struve's introduction into the rankings, and getting after this fight, he's going to start to get those. We'll see what he's really made of, and they're going to start putting him in there against some top 10 fighters. You know, maybe you know, he'll fight number 10 or number, you know, somewhere between 5 and 10. He'll get in his next fight. Yeah. If he wins this fight,
it's gonna be one of those passing of the torch kind of fights. Silva's gonna be passing the torch over this skyscraper.
Yeah, I mean, I would go Struve here without a doubt on DraftKings. Silva, you know, look, I take nothing away from him. Silva was great in his day when he was in his prime. He's still not bad, but Struve is just, you know, it's his time, and he's gonna come.
Silva.
And I think that this is the fight where Struve is going to get himself put into that discussion where he's going to start fighting guys in the top 10 after this fight. And, you know, should be good. I think it'll be interesting. It'll be a classic, you know, chess match for a little while, and Struve will figure him out. He'll take his time, and then he'll beat him. I'm going to have to say
3rd round.
I'm going to say late 2nd, early 3rd, Struve by submission. Actually, forget 3rd. I think Silva's going to get tired a little earlier than people would expect. Struve by submission in the 2nd.
I think early 3rd, and it'll be it's going to be he's probably going to tire him out and try to get submissions, but Silva's going to try and defend that, and he's going to end up getting knocked out early in the 3rd.
That's possible too, but yeah, whatever it is, submission, knockout, early 3rd. I'm going submission. Jazz going knockout just to keep score.
and to end it with the main event, what we have.
All right, so we're talking main event here, and that will be Alistair Overeem versus Andrei Arlovski.
Arlovski.
This is going to be pretty cool. I like this fight a lot, and I believe what we're going to see in this fight will be entertaining. I believe that we're going to see a fight in which both guys are going at it. They're both going to try to knock each other out. You know,
and someone's going to get knocked out.
I believe that, you know, Arlovski definitely wants to keep the fight standing. He's not that good on the ground. Overeem is better on the ground and also just as good standing. So I'm going to have to say that Overeem wins this fight, but it's going to be a good competitive fight. I believe that, you know, Overeem will win. It'll be very competitive and action-packed until somewhere late in the second, where Overeem actually winds up knocking out Arlovski. Late second round.
This is definitely not a DraftKings pick, I would say, because this could go either way. And
I feel
so
pretty
your
good
chances
to
are
pick Overeem, but there are other guys I feel better about. But I don't feel too worried for me to pick him. I would pick him if I had to. You know, if the price line goes up, like there are other guys I'd rather pick first, like Krylov. You know, in the girl fight, Kowalkiewicz, or you know, those fighters, and Struve I'd go with first. But if you don't have the money lined up, I'd take Overeem. You know, I'd feel okay with it.
I would actually go with Arlovski in this one. I think Arlovski will get the win. I feel like he's on a rise again, and Overeem's in a downhill for some. That's how I feel on the whole thing, and I think Arlovski's probably gonna get. I wouldn't say a submission. I would say a knockout. It's got to be a knockout, and it's gonna be the end of the second. Towards the end of the second round, yeah. Arlovski with a knockout.
We got a split there again. All right, DraftKings players, you got your picks. You know, do what you will with them. Just know that I am the DraftKings master right now. I hold the crown after the last outing. So we'll see what happens this time.
Yeah, well, just also remember that he did have his rise, and what happens to people when they rise, they fall. So, you know. So that's all. That's mostly all we have today. We have the HBO, the pay-per-view about Canelo versus Khan, and we have tomorrow some UFC for you guys, Mother's Day, and early in time for you guys to watch it and celebrate Mother's Day with your loved ones. So you guys let us know what your picks are on both the boxing and the UFC. Put your comments in the sections down below. You can follow us on Facebook. We have a Fight Rant on Facebook. Follow us on our website. That's at fightrant.com. We also have a Twitter, at Fight Rant. And we have Instagram, which I try to get as many pictures in there as possible for you guys to enjoy.
Yeah, the Twitter and the Instagram are fight_rant. At fight_rant.
Yes. Yep.
And definitely please subscribe, guys. Comment, like the videos. You know, we appreciate it a lot. We love to hear from you guys. You know, we'd love to answer questions. We could either, you know, answer them in the comments or talk about them on our next show. You know, we love to interact with everybody and see how they feel about things and in the fight game and in all kinds of combat sports. So check out GI's solo show, The Wrestling Rant. He's got 2 episodes up. That's pretty cool. He loves to go in depth on wrestling and talk about the events. We've started In This Corner as well as another playlist on our channel that is basically boxing oriented only. So when we're not talking about multiple sports, it'll be boxing, and sometimes there'll be press conferences in there. Sometimes it'll be just us discussing, you know, boxing in general when there's only boxing going on, and we want to go in depth on something.
News topics and issues like that. Yep. Yeah. We'll be bringing more content slowly as the time comes around. Whatever we want to rant about, that's what we'll have.
Pretty soon we'll start the random rants where we just talk about anything. We got to get that going. People will like that.
That would be. That's probably going to be the most fun. You guys definitely comment on those and give us topics to talk about, and we'll definitely touch on those as well.
Yep. But yeah, guys, subscribe, like, comment, everything. We definitely get back to you, and enjoy your weekend of fights. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and all you guys that are watching your fights. Don't forget to wish your wife, or your mother, Happy Mother's Day. Do something nice for them, even though it's fight weekend.
Yep.
All right.
Do not forget, or I know who's gonna lose in the DraftKings division.
All right, everybody, have a good
guys,
one.
Have a great
Fight
weekend.
Live episode 11
is
over. Here, just for before we hang up, one last thing. Just because Potelu can't be with us today.
Oh yeah. Let's do the Potelu. Boom!
Shout out to Daily Updates, baby.